Being a dad isn't always easy, but it's the best thing I ever did. I'm constantly improving myself to be the best dad I can be through fitness, nutrition, mindset, and lifestyle. As fathers, we pass on many things to our children, such as our mindset, our habits, our attitude, and what we've learned along the way. Each of these will shape who our children are and who they will become. The Warrior Dad's mission is to help you become the healthiest version of yourself, to hone your edge, and to live with purpose. My name is Jim Bertamy, and this is the Warrior Dads Podcast. Hey guys, thanks for tuning back into another episode of the Warrior Dads Podcast. Today I am talking with Hugh Mulls, aka Frogman405 on YouTube. Hugh is a family man, former Navy SEAL, and he is here to talk about mindset and why it's so important and how it's tied to literally everything that we do on a daily basis. So, Hugh, thanks so much for hopping on the show, man. Appreciate your time.
You're welcome, Jim. Good to be here.
Yeah, I know we tried to do this a little ways back and the audio got all messed up, but I didn't figure that out until a while after that. So I appreciate you taking a second time, I guess I should say. So
no problem. I enjoy it, Jim. I really do.
Good. So let's just jump right into it, Hugh. Tell everyone a little bit about yourself and what your background is. We'll get into the meat and potatoes of it.
Okay. I'm originally from New York. That's where I grew up. Mm-hmm. Joined the Navy 17. Went in at 18. Couldn't wait to get out of New York. The story about me actually joining the Navy, being a Navy SEAL, is kind of a funny one. I don't know if we have time for it, but
yeah,
anyway,
we got time.
You do? All right. Well, I was kind of a mischievous young man, and my brother was joining the Navy, wanted to join the Navy to become a pilot.
Is he older or younger?
I was into drag racing my car, hanging out. And
yeah. Is your brother older or younger?
He's 11.
Oh, okay.
Irish twins.
Yeah.
But anyway, I was cutting school one day, and I don't condone that. But the recruiter called, and I answered the phone, and he was looking for my brother, and I said, "No, my brother's not here." And he went right into the sales mode. He's like, "Who am I speaking with? How old are you? Have you ever thought of a career in the Navy? And I was like, "No." And I grew up watching John Wayne movies, Vietnam movies and World War II, anything I could, watch, I watched. So I told him if I joined anything, I wanted to be a Marine or a Green Beret. I joined the Army. And then he said, we have a thing called the Navy SEALs. And I never heard of them in my life. So then my buddy used to work with a guy who was a Vietnam veteran. And I went and asked him, I said, "Hey, Johnny, you ever hear the Navy SEALs?" And his eyes got big, and because he saw some stuff in Vietnam,
Mm-hmm.
And he told this story of when they were at their base camp, and they said that Charlie owned the night in their area where they were stationed over there. And they heard these boats coming down the river one night, like 2 a.m, and they're like, "What's going on?" And then the boats, stopped, and then they pulled away and left. They heard people getting off the boats and going into the jungle, like, what the hell's going on? And then like 2-3 hours later, they heard this hellacious firefight off in the distance. They could even see like tracers going up in the air. And then maybe 20-30 minutes later, they heard the boats, the river boats, come racing back down the river towards the same area.
Mm-hmm.
And they hit the beach, and the machine guns were going, and then they stopped, and then all of a sudden they heard these guys coming, dragging guys out of the bush, prisoners, laughing, cursing, and throwing them on the boat, and the boats just took off. Like, who the hell was that? What the hell is going on? And I was smiling. I'm like, man, I'm joining the Navy. And,
yeah, right.
In 2 weeks, I joined the Navy.
That's like a scene right out of the movie Act of Valor.
It was crazy.
That exactly happens. The boat comes right down the river, just spraying.
Right, and they insert them and then extract them. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the look on Johnny's face, the Vietnam veteran, it was just amazing, because he was like, it was like he was reliving it, you know.
And what
Poor
branch
guy.
was he in?
He was in the Army.
He was in the
He
Army.
was
Okay.
just, infantry. And, you know, just, I don't know. It just got me so motivated, you know, and I just wanted to do it. You know, if I'm going to do something, you know, I always want the best, you know, or try to do the best, you know.
Yeah.
And that's where mindset comes in too, you know.
Absolutely. And we're going to get into that. So it's good.
Yeah. Anyway, so I got through training. Thank God. You know, I got banged up a bit, but I got through. I started in my class. We started with like 120 guys. And by the time training was over, we were down to 17 originals.
Wow.
And then a bunch of, you get guys rolled back because a lot of guys get injured along the way. It's pretty intense, you know, so they'll get rolled into a class or two behind them, you know, once they recover.
What kind of injuries would they get?
Broken bones, you know, that's mainly broken bones, torn muscles, ligaments.
From what kind of
like
activities? From like running, like
obstacle courses. Rock portage is a big one. That's where we come up against. We insert on the rocks. You know, in heavy surf. You know, with the rubber boats, the IBSs they're called. And sometimes, you know, it's dangerous, you know. You get caught between the boat and a wave, you're going to get hurt. You're going to get broken bones. Guys snap femurs, like, you know, concussions, you know, serious contusions. And, you know, it can get pretty serious, you know.
Wow.
And then the obstacle course, sometimes guys, you know, accidents happen. You know, you got a 30, 40-foot cargo net. Sometimes guys fall off. We got a what do you call that? It's been so long since I did the O course. Slide for life is you know 30 feet off, 40 feet off the deck. Sometimes guys fall off of that.
Mm-hmm. I was actually I actually shared a video on Facebook the other day. It was William H. McRaven. He's the U.S. Navy admiral. And,
yeah, I know who he is.
Talks about making your bed and all that stuff if you want to be successful.
Right.
So but he actually talks about a lot of these. You know, he's talking about the boat crews and you know, the smaller guys in the boat crews. And then one of the parts of his speech that he's given, wherever he's given the speech for, he's talking about the mud flats in between. Mm-hmm. I forget where he said, maybe like
Tijuana.
Near Tijuana or something like that. The mud flats, and people would just be in there up to their neck, and just have to sit there for 15 hours. I think he said. Did you have to do anything like that?
Yeah. I mean, you're cold and wet all the time. I don't know if you know you ever gotten wet. You got caught in the storm. You know, you can't wait to get home. Well, just picture that. You know, the whole time you're there, and add sand to that. You know, the instructors make your time there as miserable as possible. You know, so you make you roll around in the sand, so you get sand down in everywhere, in your pants, you know, underneath your arms, everywhere, and it just rubs you raw. And if you can imagine running 15 miles in full greens that you just got soaked in the surf zone, rolled in the sand, you know, that's a miserable run.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, of course.
And you know, that's what separates, you know, the weak from the strong. You know, can you mentally handle, you know, being, it's just like having, you know, what do you call it, a sandblaster, you know, on you for 15 miles. You know, guys, I've seen guys after Hell Week. We had this one guy, he got so chafed between his legs, his thighs rubbed, that you could actually see muscle. You know, the skin got so worn away. So he had the mindset. And there were guys that would quit. I mean, we look at each other. Why'd you quit? You know, it's just, you know, they didn't have the mindset.
So, I mean, I know this is what we're talking about, and I know you're giving like your background, but I feel like it's just a good question to ask at this point. It's like, did you always have that kind of mindset? I mean, you didn't even know, you know, you got, I guess, some of your inspiration from watching the movies and seeing these war movies and things like that. And then you knew you wanted to go or if you were going to go in the military, like I want to be a Green Beret or Marine, then you find out about these Navy SEALs, and that of course excited you. But something had to keep you there, right? I mean, something. I mean, have you
Yeah,
always
yeah.
had that?
Motivation, self-motivation, the mindset, with the mindset, it's positive affirmation, positive thinking. Seeing, like Conor McGregor, I watch his videos, and that's one thing I do to keep up with, the mindset. I watch guys that I respect that walk the walk, like Jocko Willink. I listen to what they say, and I get it. I understand what they're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And like Conor McGregor, in my mind, when I want to do something, I see myself doing it. I see myself already have completed the mission or the task. And I don't know. I think I've always been that way that I can remember. I mean, and I'm not, let me clarify this. I've had good days and bad days, just like everybody. But sometimes when we get into a funk, I guess, it becomes a habit to think that way.
Right.
And the same thing goes for positive thinking. Sometimes you have to force yourself, even though you don't feel like it, say, I am happy. I am enjoying myself. I am satisfied. And it's a habit, your mind cannot have two conflicting thoughts at one time. So it's a matter of choosing, what do you want to think about? Do you want to think, negative thoughts, or do you want to think positive thoughts? And life happens, so sometimes it's hard to think positively.
Yeah,
But
it is.
it's a habit. And that's why, I go on YouTube and I watch, a lot of these positive videos. And, I just take what works, from other people, successful people. And like I said, growing up, I was always kind of a positive kid. I was always a happy-go-lucky kid. I always tried my best. I guess I was blessed that I was healthy. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Especially these days, there's so many kids. I don't want to get into why I think they're not healthy anymore, but they're not as healthy as when I was a kid. That's for sure. And it's what makes it more difficult, for kids to be physical like we were when I was a kid. Everybody was physical, just about.
Yeah, I actually
But now
heard
this,
somewhere someone told me that, and I'm really trying to remember who it was now that you were saying that. But someone was saying that they're actually hurting. Oh, you know who it was? I think it was actually an interview I was listening to, another podcast I was listening to with Tim Kennedy, and he's
uh-huh.
in, the military right now, and he's, an Army sniper, Green Beret.
Yeah, he's a bad dude. He's a good guy.
He is a bad dude. He's got a good show now on
Oh yeah,
Discovery
he's so
Channel.
motivated. I like watching because he's so positive. You know what I mean?
He is. He likes to have fun, and he smiles a lot. Hard to Kill. That's his new show, and
Is it?
yeah. And he was telling someone on a podcast that they are actually struggling to get people enlisted in the military
Oh yeah.
because
Yep.
of how unhealthy people are, because of how unfit the younger generation is today, and it's just crazy. And he
Yeah.
even started getting into like athletic programs at high schools and stuff like that. And yeah, he was saying like how hard it is to actually get people in there.
And a lot of it's not their fault. I mean, it's a lot of it has to do with the food that they're eating, that we're all eating. You
Yeah.
know, it's. I mean, it's just not healthy anymore. It's so hard to eat good. I was in Russia a few years ago, um, and I just could not believe how healthy the people looked. Everybody looked healthy. Walking through Moscow, and the women look like women, the men look like men. It reminded me of pictures I see from the 1940s and 50s of like New York City, where you see all the people and everyone's lean and they look healthy.
Yeah.
And then today you look around and there's so many unhealthy people.
Yeah. My brother-in-law's mother went to Switzerland not too long ago and said the exact same thing. I mean, the
Mm-hmm.
food is good, the culture's good,
Right.
the lifestyle's good. I mean, people
Yeah.
aren't walking around completely stressed out. It's it definitely changes you and the way you think and the way you feel. And so, we're talking about mindset today. You have to have the right mindset for fueling your body, right? My
Correct.
last podcast that I did, um, talked about how to fuel your body, or just keeping nutrition simple, but you have to have the right mindset too.
Right. You have to be motivated to do the work to eat right. You have to read labels. You have to cook fresh food. You have to deny yourself. Like I love chocolate cake. I have a weakness for this Oreo cake, um, and I have to discipline myself not to eat that every night.
Right. Well, I mean, I guess part of it, if you're talking about like something that's store bought, is just not having it in the house as much, right?
Exactly.
Because
Exactly.
it'll
Like my
kind of
kids.
it'll talk to you.
Yeah. My kids. When I was telling my kids and teaching them from a young age what soda is, or pop, or whatever you call it, depending on where you are in the country.
Hmm.
It's garbage. It's all it is sugar water. If you look at how much sugar is in a glass or a can of Coke, I mean, would you drink that? Just fill it with sugar and then pour water in there and some coloring. That's what you're drinking. And it's not even sugar water anymore, with all the aspartame now, the fake sweeteners.
Oh
People
yeah.
think, oh, I'm going to lose weight because I'm drinking Diet Coke. No, it actually tricks the body and you gain weight on that stuff. That's why so many kids have diabetes these days.
Hmm.
Anyway, my kids, I would educate them, and I'm so proud of them. We go out to a restaurant or something, they never order, soda. It's always water or iced tea.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're talking about, Coke. I think it's got like, 22 or 28 grams of sugar in it. That's
Yep,
like
yep.
that's like 6 teaspoons.
It's probably more than that. Probably more than that. I saw something on I don't know, it was maybe it was Facebook or something, and they showed you all the different drinks, and how much sugar was in it, and, with
Hmm.
glass, and it was just amazing. I couldn't believe it.
Well, one of
And
the
even
statistics that I tell my clients a lot is that, 1 teaspoon of sugar can suppress the immune system for up to 6 hours.
wow, that's huge.
So if
No
you're
wonder
talking
everyone's
about
so
one
sick.
can of Coke, yeah, exactly. You're talking about 1 can of Coke. If that's 6 teaspoons of sugar right there, and 1 teaspoon can suppress the immune system for 6 hours, you're talking 36 hours.
Yeah, you have no immune system,
No immune system for
and
3 days.
and you're drinking a couple a day. I mean, people
Right, and people
you
drink
see them
one or
coming
two
out
a
of
day.
7-Eleven with the big gulps. I'm like, oh my
Yeah,
god.
yeah.
And
So,
the other thing too is that cancer feeds off of sugar. They don't want you to know that.
oh,
You
absolutely,
know,
absolutely. I
cancer
mean, and
cannot live in an alkaline environment. Anyway, go ahead.
yeah. Well, I mean, if you got a strong immune system, that'll help fight it off too.
Exactly.
Or at least you have a good, well-balanced body. It's not, immune system might be more for like bacteria and viruses and things like that, so you're not getting sick and colds and stuff. But you have to have a good level of homeostasis in the body so that the cancer cells can't run rapid and start to outweigh the good cells, right?
Right.
Because they've identified that everybody has the cancerous cells in the body,
Right.
but it's just to the degree that they're more prevalent than the good cells, then that's when you have the problem. But if
Well,
you keep your body in a good state, healthy state, by not
an
loading it up
alkaline
with
state.
an alkaline state, absolutely. And some people are more
Right.
alkaline than others, naturally.
Right.
So if you have someone who's more acidic, they got to pay attention to it a little bit more, and they have to
Exactly.
be
Yeah.
a little bit more aware of it, because then they can, get themselves in trouble,
Right. I mean,
compared to other people.
yeah, there's remedies, cheap remedies too to help alkalize the body, but,
Yeah.
I mean, people, that's mindset. You have to be motivated to go do the research, and you have to want to be healthy, and it takes a little bit of work sometimes.
So what do you do for your mindset to help keep yourself healthy on a daily basis? What are some things that you've picked up along the way, that you've implemented, that you've, taken from all the different, things that you've done in life? What's something you do to ensure yourself, like, keeping that edge on a daily
Well,
basis?
in the morning, I like my morning time. I like to have a quiet time.
What time do you wake up?
I get up about 5:30, 6. Depends, what's going on, what happened the night before. Did I work work late. I've got things going on with my son. He's into sports, so it all depends. I'm blessed where I can, I don't have to be up at a certain time in order to get to work at a certain time. I'm semi kind of retired.
Yeah.
But I like my quiet time. I like to listen to positive people, like Jocko and a whole bunch of others. It helps me to get in the right state of mind. And then, I like to see what's going on in the world,
Yeah.
I don't watch
Jocko's
the
pretty
mainstream.
extreme though, right? I like Jocko. I listen to Jocko a lot too, but and he says this too, so he's not looking for every single person to do every single thing that he says and live the exact same lifestyle that he lives, and he understands that. And it's funny that him and Echo Charles on their podcast always talk about like, well, normal people do this and normal human beings do that. So like they're like, separating Jocko from humanity,
right.
And he's up, before the enemy.
He's up at 4:30, I think.
Yeah, exactly, 4:30s, and but I do like some of the stuff that he says. Who else do you listen to?
Oh yeah. Well, I just want to talk about Jocko a little bit. He, it works for him. He's a motivated, disciplined individual, and I get a lot from him too. And I could relate to him. You know what I mean?
Sure.
I guess because maybe
both being SEALs too.
Yeah, it's like it's amazing. I was watching something the other day, and it had to do with a couple of team guys on YouTube, and it just felt good listening to these guys. I didn't know them personally, but it just felt like I felt at home. Like I knew what they were talking about. I could relate to them. It was just there's just something there. And when I've met a couple of team guys out here, ex-team guys out here in where I live. And it's weird. There's just something there, It's kind of like a family thing, like the brotherhood, I guess it is. It's just there's a bond.
Yeah, that's the word I was thinking of, brotherhood.
Right. Who else do I listen to? Now you're gonna put me on the spot, are you? There's one guy I just started listening to. His name is Dr. Joe. I'm gonna look him up because I don't remember his last name, but he is, for me, he's like on the money. He talks about, replacing negative thoughts with positive thoughts, and it's so true, positive attracts positive, negative attracts negative. You don't want to be around negative people, who wants to be around someone that's always complaining, and it seems what those kind of people attract that negativity. It just comes to them,
Yeah.
And let me see. I'm going to try and look him up when we're on the phone. And keep talking.
Dispenza.
There you go, Joe Dispenza. Yeah.
Joe Dispenza.
And then what is there's
So you listen to him and Jocko, okay?
Yeah, I mean, like I'll go, and when you go on YouTube, all these videos will come up. These like start your morning with this, and it's like just all these different people, all these different quotes or people speaking put together. It's just.
So you listen to those first thing in the morning, or is that one way that you kind of start your day then?
It is, yeah. Usually I like to do that. Some days I don't get a chance. Some days I'm just not in the mood. And that's the other thing. Talking about. Habits and whatnot. I don't think anybody can do anything 100%. You just do the best you can, but you have to be true to yourself. You can't lie to yourself and stay in bed. I don't feel like it. I'm not feeling good today. When when you need to get up and get something. Like what Chaco says, get after it, right?
Get after it, right?
Get it done.
So when you have those days where maybe you don't feel like doing it, or we were just talking about nutrition too, and you don't feel like eating good, or you feel like having that slice of pizza or that Oreo cake that you were talking about, what do you do? Now, I mean, obviously they always say, everything in moderation, but
yeah,
that can be dangerous for some people, right? That could
we have this saying in the teams: moderation is for cowards. When in doubt, overload.
Overload. Okay.
Yeah, that has to do with explosives. Like if you're not sure it's going to blow the bridge up, put a lot more on there.
Right,
There's
right.
just formulas for explosives, how much to use and all this. But when in doubt, overload.
Hmm.
It'll blow. But I have those days, and sometimes I just I'm going to have that cake today, but I'm not going to have it every day. I had cake last week, so I'm not going to have it for at least another few days. You know what I mean?
Right.
And most of the time, I don't have to worry about that because it's not in my wheelhouse. It's not, in front of me. If I have a cake in my refrigerator, every time I open the refrigerator, it's going to be staring at me in the face saying, "Hey, eat me,"
Right.
But every once in a while, if I'm shopping or I'm out and I see, I'll have a piece of cake. It's not going to kill me.
Yeah, and
And
that's what I tell people too. I mean, you can see, you see it more nowadays than ever because of what we have in our technology and social media, and people say that Instagram and Facebook and stuff like that. All of social media, people portray so many fake things, or they portray their
yeah,
life how they want other people to see them. But you see these guys or these women on here that are all ripped up and they just got done a competition or something like that, and they go to the bakery or a pizza shop and they just start gorging themselves, right? I mean,
right.
realistically, and The Rock, he's a good example too, right? Because he's like strict for 5 months, and then he has that epic cheat day where it's like what,
Hmm.
12 pancakes and
Could be probably a cheat week, at
right.
the
Well, he crams it all into one day. I think he has like 2 boxes of brownies and 4 pizzas, and it's ridiculous. I mean, anybody else would be sick on it, but
right,
it's not going to change the way that they look overnight,
right, right.
right? So it all circles back to the mindset. And it's kind of like I said with your intros, like, you're telling us basically today how mindset literally ties into everything that we do. And, um, we gotta
That's a good
let ourselves have something sometimes, and then we can't be too rigid all the time, and
right.
pretend like we're machines.
Mindset is ongoing. It's constant. It's flowing. You can't, all right, I'm going to work at my mindset and I'm going to get to a point and then I'm done. You know what I mean? Then my mindset is done. I can work on something else. Every day you have to work on your mindset. Every minute of the day you have to work on your mindset because life happens.
Hmm.
You could be having a great day and the next thing you know, something happens. And you're going to have to work at your mindset. Um, it's not easy. It's a constant thing. It's a habit. Whenever you start to feel negative, whenever you start to feel angry, and I'm guilty of this myself all the time. I have to stop, take a breath, and reset my mind. Okay, it's just helping me. It's just anger or this worry helping me.
Right. But it takes
Um,
discipline to do that, right? Because some people don't
it
think of that.
does,
Some
yeah,
people will just stay in that negative state. And
because it's a habit. That's all they know, and
right.
that's where they're comfortable. You know,
So what do you
and
say to the so
it's
what do you say to the people that do stay in that state? What's a piece of advice that you would give them that's helped you over the years, or that you've done that's worked for you to get yourself out of that?
they need to work at something that's going to work for them. And what I mean by that is if they have to take notes, put sticky notes up on the mirror in the bathroom, on the steering wheel in the car, or on the mirror in the car, on the wall right next to the door as you're walking out.
Hmm.
Because I need to be reminded. Sometimes I'll go off, on a tangent, and I have to be reminded somehow. And just because I've been doing it for so long, I'm able to remind myself most of the time. But for some people that have, that aren't even aware of mindset, really. I mean, they just live. They've been living a certain way for so long. That's all they know.
Right.
They don't know what it's like to live positively. You know.
So you just touched on something really important that I want to ask you and address. So when we look at the word mindset, right, it's what are we setting our mind on? Our mind is set on something, right? So when you're saying that you're writing these post-it notes, or you're just giving that as an example, writing these post-it notes or reminding yourself, I think one of the things that we have to talk about is what are we being reminded of, right? Because we have to have a focus that reflects our mindset, right? Or our mindset
Right.
reflects our focus. So when we're talking about mindset, we also have to figure out what we're focusing on, right? Because
yeah. And here's what I should have said earlier. When I get up in the morning, I always want to say, thank you, God, thank you. I'm grateful for what I have, even if it's something, something happened. Thank you. Cause it could always be worse. If we look around, I mean, there's people that are going through so much worse than what I'm going through right now. And it reminds me of a saying I heard. It said, if we all got in a circle and threw our problems into the center of the circle, and we saw what everybody else was dealing with, we would want our own problems back. And it hit me. It's just like, wow. And oh man, especially on Facebook. Facebook's good and bad. I get a lot of news from because I'm connected to a lot of guys I was in teams with that I trust where they get their news from. And then I'm also subscribed to a lot of health channels, where I get articles on stuff. But you also see a lot of these videos of people that have it a lot worse than us and are smiling.
Absolutely.
And it just makes me, you have to be grateful for what you have. I'm blessed, I wish I had more, but I'm blessed at what I have, I really am. I have, again, mindset. Am I going to say, oh, the glass is half empty or is it half full? God forbid. I mean, if I start thinking negatively, it could be worse. It could always get worse. People, as a matter of fact, it reminded me of something just happened to a team guy. He just got into a horrific accident. His name is Dan Liccardo. If you guys look him up, help the family out. They need help. He was in a horrific accident because of his prior injuries from the teams, from the Navy. He had head injuries. I'm just going by what I read. I don't know how true it is, but he had head injuries, so he had seizures. And he had a seizure and crashed and had both his legs amputated, and a whole bunch of other injuries. And the family, they did a video, with him after the operation. This happened last week.
And what's his name again?
Dan Liccardo.
Liccardo. Okay.
Liccardo, L is a Lima. And he was speaking, and I'm telling you, man, the guy he's a monster. He's so strong. It's amazing. I mean, he's so positive. He's laying, in the hospital bed, and he's just had both his legs amputated, and he's got to be in, great amount of pain because he's got broken ribs, I think pelvis, and a whole bunch of his sternum was cracked. And he's just a positive guy. He's thanking everybody for praying for him. For you know what I mean. It was so humbling. And, anyway, I just want to put that out there. If you guys could look them up and help out the family any way you could, every little bit counts.
Sure.
Because they're going to be seeing some serious medical bills.
Yeah, I actually just looked it up. So it's Daniel, and then it's Liccardo, Licardo, and you can see this car crash here. This is, I can't even believe you walked away from this. I mean, the car is demolished into this tree, or it looks like a truck, maybe.
That's what that's what the firemen and EMS said. Most people would be dead.
Yeah,
they couldn't believe he walked away from it. But that just shows what kind of man he is, and he's got the mindset. And if you see the videos, I couldn't believe this was like the day after he had his legs amputated. He just motivated me, just proud to say that, I was a team guy like him, you know what I mean? And he's just amazing,
So you're focused on, so we were saying, like, what are we focused on? So you say you're focused on gratitude, right? So you wake up and you're grateful. Gratitude is a big one
in the morning. Yes. Because it's a positive feeling, I'm grateful for what I have. I'm grateful for my health. I suffer from a lot of injuries, a lot of guys do. from the teams and from Spec Ops and, Rangers, Green Berets, all the guys, get beat up, pretty bad.
Sure.
But, I try to be positive, I have to, I'm grateful. I could be worse, and again, you can't have two thoughts in your mind at the same time. And
so you mentioned that you got injuries,
negative,
and I know you had some injuries, and we've talked about them before in the past. And so for someone, you have two choices, right? You could just sit there and basically use your injury as a crutch and be like, well,
right.
I can't do this and I can't do that, and you said you just got back into jiu-jitsu, and I know you had to get out of it for a little while, and I was sharing with you that's actually something I just recently started doing the last couple of weeks. But you get beat up a little bit in jiu-jitsu, especially me being a new guy. But you could use injuries, especially with the list of the ones that you have, as an excuse. Well, I can't do this because of my back. I can't do this because of my,
Right.
I had this injury when I fell off of this, but I know you're really active still. I know you still like to work out, and obviously you're still doing jiu-jitsu now. You're back into it. You didn't use that as but you got guys in their 30s and their 40s, and they're just, they're acting like 80-year-olds. They're like, oh, I can't do this or I can't do that. I mean, that's mindset too. So what's something that you focus on to keep you going strong and keep yourself strong physically? What's your focus? I mean, you could use gratitude, because you could always say it could be worse, and I'm grateful for my ability that I have now. But is there something else?
I just I look at myself, and we only have a short period of time on this earth, and you can spend it 30, like you just mentioned, 30-year-olds, saying, my buddy was just telling me this last week, guys he works with, they're saying, oh, I'm getting old, and they're in their 30s. Oh, I'm getting old. And they got pot bellies. They don't get it. I mean, they're going to go the rest of their life living this way, miserable, unhappy, negative. I'm a happy person when I think about the things I've done, the things I was able to do. I was blessed, and I guess one of the things is you have to, if you have a dream, you have to go for it. You have to just make a decision and do it, no matter how much fear is there, just do it, because I think the worst thing in life, and for me, that's another part of my story why I joined the Navy to be a SEAL, is I don't want to live with regret. I can't imagine living my life, or I'm going to give you a quick story. I was in church when I was debating whether to join the Navy, because everybody that told me about the SEALs said, no, you'll never make it. No way. Don't bother, I was in church and I saw this, it was quiet. Nobody was in there really. And this old man came in from the back. He had a walker, and he was ever so slowly shuffling down. And I was just looking at him, and I was wondering what he was thinking in his mind, looking over at me, young 17-year-old. Is he regretting, or is he thinking that, I wish I was his age, I would have joined the Navy, I would have joined the Army, something he wanted to do, but, the fear kept him from doing it, But now he's 70 years old, and, he looked like he was close to his grave. And just that regret, and it hit me. And that was another thing that, helped me make that decision and say, the hell with it, I'm going to go for it no matter what everybody says,
Yeah. I've seen quotes about regret before, and a lot of people talk about it. And I remember a quote said, "Fear is temporary, regret is forever."
Exactly. That's a great quote. I'm going to remember that one.
Yeah. Fear is temporary, regret is forever.
And you know what? You get over the fear and you go for it. And if you don't get it, because you can't for whatever reason, hey, you tried. You can say, all right, now it's time to move on to something else.
Or you can keep trying.
Yeah, exactly.
Or you can keep
you don't
trying.
have to
Just
live in
because you're
regret.
not good at it now doesn't mean you can't be good at it, right? I mean, and that's something that a lot of people, don't, everybody wants it now. Everybody's in a rush. Everybody's in a hurry to get things now. Yeah, totally. You could definitely achieve it. And that's, again, part of the mindset, not thinking, okay, well, I didn't get it, I got to give up. That's BS.
I'm wondering if if I'm answering that question for you. The mindset, because there's so much to it. I mean, but yet it's so simple. I think you have to focus on positive thoughts.
I mean,
You
I think
have
you
to
did
be
answer. I think you did
disciplined.
answer it, because you're saying that, whatever you're doing in life, this is actually a pretty unique answer. You're saying whatever I do in life, I want to do it, or I want to live life to the fullest and experience as much as I can experience, because we only get one shot at this.
Right. That's
So you're
true.
saying, like, I don't want to regret not taking this chance. I don't want to regret, not going to this place or doing this, because, and you know what? If you know the benefits of something, that could be motivation enough. Like, hey,
Right.
if I told you you could do, 30 minutes of exercise every single day, or wind up like this guy later on down the road, and you see this guy who's like, all hunched over, kind of like the guy that you're talking about, that you saw in church that time, I mean, and of course we're all going to get old, but if you take care of yourself, you're probably not going to end up completely hunched over, or,
Right.
in that
Right.
bad a shape. Right. And you're like, hey, what if I said you take care of yourself, you look like this versus this? You're like, yeah, sure, sign me up. So if you knew what the
What-
consequences were, that might motivate you and push you forward. And then you're like,
Right.
yeah, I want to get the most out of this that I can.
And here's another thing that's very important too, is living in the present. And that took me a long time to get that. You, you have to forget about the past, because the past is gone. The past is done. It doesn't matter anymore.
Mm-hmm.
In the future, we don't know. I mean, like, people think, all right, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to work here for the next 40 years, and this, that, and the other thing. I'm going to retire. They may step off the curb the wrong way and fall in front of a bus the next day. The future is uncertain. The future is not guaranteed.
Mm-hmm.
And another thing that I like to do is stay in the present. Like, okay, just for today, what's going on now? If something is looming in the future, I don't want to worry about it, because, most of the time that I worried about things, it never came out the way I thought it was going to come out. It
Wow.
was never as bad as I thought.
Yeah.
So just, try to stay in the present. Forget about the past. Forget about what happened in the past, and don't worry about the future, because we don't know. It's not promised again, and just
I
work
like that.
towards, if you have a goal, work on it, a daily routine towards that goal, and things are going to change. Another saying I heard that I thought was good was, if you have goals, write them down in pencil, because God's got different, ideas for you.
I like that.
You know what I mean?
Another one could be, look to the future, but live in the present.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's it.
Cool. All right. Well, as with every show, we end with some questions for our guest, which are inspired by James Lipton and Bernard Pivot. So we have 10 questions. And first one, Hugh, who is your hero?
Who's my hero? I'd have to say veterans right now, men and women of the armed forces who are putting themselves out there for this country.
Amen
I
to
don't
that.
really have a hero. Yeah, I really don't have a hero per se. I mean, I've got a lot of guys I look up to, but they're not really heroes to me.
Mm-hmm. Amen to that.
I'd have to think about that one for a while to really, come up with somebody, I think.
There's no right or wrong. I love that answer. God bless America. What excites you?
Amen. Doing things that most people don't want to do, going places, like the mountains. I love nature, the beach, lakes, deserts. Especially the United States. We've got everything here. It's such a beautiful country.
Mm-hmm. Nice. What turns you off?
Negative people, inconsiderate people. I want to say stupid people, but I think most of the time it's not stupidity. It's just that people don't care.
Mm-hmm. What is your favorite sound?
My favorite sounds, wow. Nature, I guess, the ocean, river, like streams,
Mm-hmm.
wind. I love wind and thunderstorms.
What is your least favorite sound?
What was that sound from Dumb and Dumber? Remember? I don't know. There was this
The
dumb
most
and dumb.
annoying sound in the world. Yeah. I can actually do that, but I think it'll blow the microphone out. What is your favorite quote or saying?
One of my favorite quotes is by Edmund Burke, and it goes something like this: "The only thing for evil to flourish is for good men to do nothing."
I like that. Very nice. Number 7, in a couple words, what should a dad be?
Well, a dad should be a dad, not a friend. A dad should be understanding, patient, loving, strong,
Mm-hmm.
protective. Um, I'm sure there's a few more I could put in there.
Sure. In a couple words, what should a dad not be?
Um, I mean, the opposite of the other. Unloving, not understanding, not patient, dominant.
Hmm.
I'm sure there's a few more there too.
Yeah. Number 9, if you could try any other profession, what would it be?
Any other profession? I'd love to be a doctor, actually. There's actually two. It would be a doctor or like a fighter pilot or something, like an A-10 or a helicopter pilot. Always loved helicopters.
Nice. And finally, what would you like to be remembered for?
Um, just, hopefully someday I'll be remembered for helping people. I like helping people. I'm I'm trying to figure out a way. I started a foundation. It hasn't really gotten off the ground yet. It's called Warriors of the Light. I'm just trying to figure out how to get that going. And I just want to help people, all kinds of people.
Mm-hmm.
From veterans to single mothers to old people to people that are down in their luck. Some people just need a helping hand. You know what I mean?
Sure. Where can people find out more about this foundation you started?
Uh, Again, it's not even off the ground. I just got the paperwork done. I don't know where to start actually about getting it going. And getting funds coming in so we can start helping people.
Okay. And what's the name of it again?
It's the Warriors of the Light, Warriors of the Light,
Warriors of the Light.
of the Light.
Of the
So
line
hopefully,
or of the light?
light. Yes, like the light from the sun.
Right. Warriors of the Light. Okay.
Right.
Well, maybe the first thing is to see if that .com's available. warriorsofthelight.com.
Right.
And just briefly, just tell everybody where they can find you on YouTube, because you have your YouTube channel, right?
Oh, that's right. Yeah, Frogman 405. I do some, shooting videos and gun reviews, and I want to branch out to car videos too. I really love American muscle, all kinds of cars, even foreign cars, but especially American cars. Mustangs, Challengers, especially Camaros, Corvettes, stuff
Nice.
like that.
Okay. Are you going to start incorporating that into the channel?
I'm not sure what I'm going to do. Actually, I have a channel already set up for it, but I just haven't had the time to start doing anything with it with videos. I just bought a new car, and I think people will like it. It's a new wide body Hellcat, and I don't know. Just got to find the time.
Sure.
So
All right.
much
So,
I want to do.
yeah. So, Frogman 405 on YouTube, and then maybe we'll see some things start to come out for Warriors of the Light. I actually did a quick search for you on Google. The .com's taken, but the .us is not, and the .co is not. So, hey,
Hey,
maybe
good job, thanks, brother. Appreciate that.
yeah, man, just go on GoDaddy, GoDaddy.com, and then type in whatever your URL that you want to be is. warriorsofthelight.us and .co are available for you. So go check those out.
Thanks a lot, Tim. Appreciate that.
You're welcome. Well, Hugh, thanks so much for hopping on today. I'm so glad we could do this a second time.
Oh, my
But
pleasure. My pleasure.
um, thanks so much, and have a great one, man.
You too, brother. Take care. God bless.
Thanks. You too. Bye bye. Hey guys, thanks for tuning into this episode of the Warrior Dads podcast. If you like this podcast and want to support it, please subscribe, leave comments, and share it with someone you think would benefit from listening as well. Thanks again, and keep on being a warrior dad.